back by popular demand. It has been a long, long time. But viewers, fans, and subscribers, WWE Raw Review in a different way, a different look, a different view, so to speak. I'm not going to be like everybody that comes on here and rants and raves about how Raw sucked and how Raw was horrible and how Raw was this and how Raw was that, because that's a quick pop. That's a good way to get views and say how boring and dull, how uninteresting it was, and why you might have a point. A lot of these other YouTubers that come on here and they do their Raw review and they present their opinion, and that's fine. Listen, I have respect. I have respect for every man, woman, and child that comes on here and gives their Raw review. But I'll tell you what, I'm not just going to come on here and say, well, it was good. Well, it sucked. Well, it was boring. Well, it left me on the edge of the seats. Well, I changed the channel. Well, I fell asleep. I'm going to give you, on some aspects, this is where I change the game. This is where it's a little bit different. You see, here on Sean, if you want to give a Raw review, I'm going to give you how I would have booked it, how I would have went about it, how I would have changed it. I'm not just going to come on here and easily say, oh, well, Raw sucked. Raw was horrible. Raw was boring. Raw was this. Raw was that. Whether it was good, bad, happy, or sad, whatever it was. Because I'm the man that put WWE news and rumors on the map. I'm the man. I'm one of the people that started Raw reviews on here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rejuvenate. I'm going to recalculate that. Because again, you're going to hear a lot of other reviewers here on YouTube talk about how bad the show was and how lackluster it was and how detrimental it was and how Monday Night. Listen, if you're comparing and you're thinking Raw is ever going to be like the Attitude Era or the Ruthless Aggression Era, you got another thing coming. You know, I'll tell you what, the Monday Night Raws that we're getting now are better than the Raws from, say, 93, 94, and 95. I'll tell you that right now. In a day and era where you had Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, in a day and era where, you know, you had The Goon, in a day and era when you had Doink the Clown, because actually Doink the Clown, the original Doink the Clown, the bad one, the heel one, was actually a good character. But, I mean, I'll tell you what, guys, this Raw does blow away in athleticism, in persona, in storyline. This Raw does blow away 92, 93, 94, 95. And that's not saying a lot. And I'm not taking anything away from the new generation, the Razor Ramones, the Bret Harts of the world, because those are actually good wrestlers. Those are actually fighters that knew what they were doing, and they had a character, and they had a persona, and they had legitimately, and they had credibility. But let's say that Monday Night Raw, it was a dark era around 94, 95. It was definitely a dark era as WCW was dominating. But we're not here to talk about the past. Again, viewers, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. We're not going to run down the whole show and say how horrible it was. I've said that 100 times already. We're going to do things a little bit different. And if you like these kind of videos, in addition to WWE news and WWE rumors that I do multiple times a day. I already give you guys multiple videos a day, but if you want more Raw reviews following Raw, this is what I'm going to do for each and every one of you. First off, the WWE Monday Night Raw, the highlights, the results in the WWE Raw review for March the 9th, 2026. Now, I got to dust myself off. It's been a long time since I've done these things, but a lot of my viewers, a lot of my fans, quite frankly, a lot of my channel members have been asking me, Sean, I know you always ask for our review, but again, it's not just going to be the review and the results, because if you saw the show, if you read the results, if you looked online, you knew what happened. You know what happened. What I'm going to do is tell you what I would have changed, what should have stayed the same, what should have been different. First of all, we started off with Seth Rollins using a sea of masked men to ensure his safety during Monday Night Raw. Now, it looked a little bit odd. It looked a little bit stupid, I'll be honest with you. It didn't look the greatest on TV. It looked a little bit off, okay? But I will say this. If I'm WWE, and again, I'm not just going to go over the results and the review and what was good and what was suck, and again, what I would have changed or what I would have kept the same, or if I would have went in a different direction. And again, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video all over the entire internet, because we're going to go a little bit in depth here. What I would have done during this segment is I would have probably kept this the same. If I'm booking this, I would have done a little bit differently. The way it was a little bit too crowded. It was a little bit too cluster. You know what I'm saying? It was a bit of a cluster, and it looked a little different, maybe even stupid. It could have been done a little bit differently. It could have been done in another way. I think there was too many masked men. I think they could have had about 3 or 4 of them gone. But again, this is if I'm booking. You got to look at it from my standpoint, because I used to do a segment called SeanzViewent Books Monday Night Raw, where if I'm on the creative team, I book Raw, and I give you the planning and the storylines and the angles and the promos and the predicaments and the matches and how I would go about it. And I did that some 10 years ago, and I'm about to do that again. If this video gets enough views, enough likes, enough comments, enough interaction, enough channel members, enough donations down below, super thanks donations, we'll keep doing this. So what if I kept it the same with Seth Rollins and his sea of masked men? Well, let me put it like this. If I'm booking Monday Night Raw and I'm in charge of this segment, maybe this week I keep it like this. But what I would do the next week when Rollins is trying to do this is I would have, and this is what I would do, I would have the Visions, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul dressed as one of the masked men, and they take out Seth Rollins. That's what I would have done in that first segment. I would have had Seth Rollins taken out by one of his masked men or two of them, and then it ends up being the Vision. But at first, no one thinks it's going to be the Vision because first Paul Heyman's going to come out, and I understand Paul Heyman's been written off TV for probably the next couple of weeks. I get that, and I understand that. But again, we're going to do things a little bit different here. Again, we're going to bring you an element of change here on Sean's View Entertainment. And the only way this video is going to get over is like, comment. Again, this week, I probably would have kept it like that, as odd and as peculiar as it was. But in the coming weeks, when Seth Rollins has his sea of masked men come out there and he thinks he's protected and Rollins thinks he doesn't have to look over his shoulder, that's when his own masked men turn on him. But ultimately, it's not his own masked men. It's Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And if Braun Breaker can come back in time, because there's a lot of rumor and gossip, there is definitely a lot of rumors and gossip about, Braun Breaker being able to come back just in the nick of time, or a new member of the Vision being intertwined into that scenario. So that is how I would have done it. That is how I would have booked it. Again, I don't know if I would have pulled the trigger this week, quite frankly. I don't think I would have pulled the trigger on it because that would have been too soon, because we still got several weeks to go until WrestleMania. What is it, 30, 40 days left, 45 days, whatever it is. So again, that is how I would book this down the line. Seth Rollins' own masked men turn on him, and then that allows the Vision to get one over Rollins, because obviously it's been Seth Rollins that has been getting the best. Seth Rollins has been getting the better of the Vision over the last several weeks. But again, you got to know the reason why they're doing this is because, quite frankly, Seth Rollins was the one that was taken out by his own group. Okay, he was taken out by his own men. Now we got Bayley, who is the #1 contender for AJ Lee's Women's IC title. Now, listen, guys, they're not really doing a lot with Bayley. I understand. I'm shocked. I'm actually stunned that Bayley got the victory here. What would have I changed? What would I have done about this? I think Bayley needs to turn heel next week. And that sounds easy. Again, that sounds like an easy thing, but Bayley really hasn't been up to much, and I don't know if she's even going to be used or utilized at WrestleMania, okay? But she's going to get a crack. She's going to get a shot at AJ Lee next week, and that's all fine and well. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, Bayley she doesn't fit the babyface role. It doesn't feel as, it just feels off. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel organic. It just doesn't feel natural for Bayley. And quite frankly, I'm actually shocked that IYO SKY lost here within the first couple of matches, this gauntlet match. But I'll tell you one thing, I am surprised. I am very shocked at Ivy Nile, who definitely, this woman, she deserves a push. She deserves a run. Ivy Nile proved tonight why she definitely deserves that rub, so to speak. Kind of like the people on YouTube that like to get a rub off the views and the algorithm by just saying how horrible and how poor and how terrible Raw was. And again, I'm not saying Raw is the greatest. I'm not saying Raw was the best. Hell, I'm not even going to say that Raw tonight was the best. I might agree with some of you that say, oh, this Raw, and I always ask my viewers, my fans, my subscribers, my suppliers, my channel members, what did you think about Monday Night Raw? And I want your thoughts and your feelings and your comments. What did you think about Monday Night Raw? And, and I'm going to point out this. We all know that the three big segments of the night, in my opinion, if you're looking at the segment by segment by segment, first of all, let's talk about Rusev. Why did this man come back? I knew, listen, I'm going to say this right now. I know Rusev wasn't going to win. Here is a man in Rusev who has defeated John Cena. He's a former United States champion. He is a man that destroyed Sheamus. Rusev is a man that went on a hell of a long undefeated streak. Here's a man in Rusev who made John Cena pass out. Rusev is a man that has defeated the top of the top in the WWE. Go back in 2014, 2015, 2016. You know, Rusev was on a hellacious run. Rusev could not be touched, okay? The Bulgarian Brute. And then remember Rusev Day? Remember how over he was? And then he went to AEW. And then he comes back to the WWE, viewers, right? And we think, you know, oh, he's going to look good. The WWE is going to, you know, see the error of our ways. And they're going to actually give, you know, maybe give him a little bit of a push. Listen, I'm not expecting Rusev to become a world champion. I'm not expecting Rusev to lose like he did tonight. Now, listen, I understand that, again, I understand Rusev wasn't going to get the win. But if I'm booking this, I'm making Rusev look a little bit stronger than what they did tonight. Because, again, they're just using Rusev as a placeholder, as an afterthought. And that's not the thing you do with Rusev, because if you go off his history, and, you know, again, I'm a wrestling fan. I've been watching since I'm in diapers, since I'm a little kid, since I'm a little tyke. I'm watching since I'm a child, and I've watched the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, whatever it is. I was watching WWE during its darkest days. Like I said, Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, The Goon, Mantar. You know, I've watched it all. And then I've watched the level of Stone Cold and the height of the Attitude Era and the Hogan era in the 80s and the 90s. But what the WWE is doing to Rusev, you got to wonder, is Rusev really questioning what he has done by going back to the WWE? And again, I'm not saying Rusev should have won, and I would have never booked Rusev to win the match. But by God, he should have looked a hell of a lot stronger and better than what he did. This should have been a test. This should have been a test for Obafemi. And I understand the WWE are trying to make Obafemi look strong, and they could have still made him look strong, but while making Rusev look a little bit better than what he did. And again, this is where, again, I can say, listen, I can easily come on here and say, well, this sucked and that sucked and this was boring, and I shut my TV off and I went to sleep. And listen, we could come on here every week like a lot of people do and say, for the cheap views, oh, Raw sucked. Well, how would you improve it? What would you do about it? How would you change the complexity of the situation? And again, I'm putting myself in the creative. If I'm on the creative team, if I'm a Triple H guy and I'm on the creative team, not like the Road Dogg, who seemed very, you know, not comfortable with what he was trying to put out there and his plans and how he wanted to go about things. And then, of course, you have the Judgment Day, viewers. Finn Balor kicked out of the Judgment Day. Now, we all know this is leading to Dominik Mysterio versus Finn Balor at WrestleMania. The rumor and the gossip is it is going to be the Demon. The Demon Finn Balor is going to come back, because this version of Finn Balor got beat up so bad, so dominantly, so unquestionably, that this Finn Balor can't wrestle. After everything he went through with CM Punk in those two matches, after the Judgment Day took him out tonight, now the Demon has to come back. And that's what I like about this, is that this is going to make the Demon come back. But what I would do, and again, I wouldn't really have changed much about this, because, again, this has been building, this has been brewing, where you knew that Finn Balor was going to get turned on somehow, in some way. Again, you can say the segment was great. You can say it sucked. You can say you saw it coming. You can say it was even predictable, because that's another thing a lot of people do during their Raw reviews on here. They say, well, it was predictable. They saw it coming from a mile away. But just because it's predictable doesn't mean that it sucks. Or sometimes something can be unpredictable and it can suck. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that this can go. But I thought this was done pretty good, pretty well. Although I think I would have saved the turn maybe for next week. You know what I'm saying? Even though this has been building and brewing and you kind of saw where this was going, I would have made it go on maybe another week and then had Finn Balor get taken out and then Finn Balor get attacked. But what I would do from here is I would have teases. Okay, and again, this is where if I'm booking it, if I'm the creative team. And again, guys, if you want more videos like this, more in-depth analysis, again, I'm going to do it differently. I did these Raw reviews. I used to do these Raw reviews back in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. In the end, yeah, I'll be honest, I took a big break from the Raw reviews to focus on WWE news and WWE rumors, because that's my bread and butter. That's what I'm known for. That's what I do here on this very channel. And listen, week after week, people have been telling me, Sean, we need your thoughts. We love the WWE news and rumors. We love the multiple videos a day, but we need more. We need your review. We need your talk. And again, guys, it's not about me, though. It's about you. It's about your insight. But I guess I got to put it out there. I do got to put my view on it, even though it's all about you. Because without you, there is no Sean's view. But the attack tonight, but again, over the next several weeks, heading into WrestleMania, I wouldn't even have Finn Balor on television, although we have a lot of injuries going on right now, so that might be tough. That might be a little hard, and I get it. I get it. But I would have hints. I would have teases. I would have whispers, like maybe 1 week Finn Balor's ghost or his mask or his entrance gear is backstage, or you're hearing, sounds of his music, his theme song. Just little hints, little teases about the demon coming back, and that's starting to get underneath the skin of Dominik Mysterio, and Dominik Mysterio is getting a little shaken. He's getting a little shook. So again, I don't really have too much of a problem with what WWE did and how they took out Finn Balor tonight. It was done in a good way, and I will say props to Dominik Mysterio for the way he utilized the ring bell hammer by putting it in his shoe and hitting a 619. I got to give props there to Dirty Dominik Mysterio. So, and I know people typically come on here and they give it an A through an F or an A, B, C, D, or a 1 through a 10. We don't do that here. No. We either say, and I got to come up with some sort of technique for this, because I'm not going to do the typical boring, dull 1 out of 10, A, B, C, D, F. Again, when I ask my viewers, my subscribers, and my fans about the Raw review, I asked, was it cloudy? Was it sunny? Was it a scorcher? Was it fire? Was it a storm? But this storm was brewing for the Judgment Day. Okay, it definitely was. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have to address the elephant in the room as CM Punk was confronted regarding the disrespectful comments about Sika. Roman Reigns obviously not on Raw tonight. Now, here is what I would have done. Here is what I would have changed about this segment if I'm the creative team. Again, I could have come on here and said, oh, it was stellar, it was epic, it was off the charts. I could have said it sucked, it was dull, it was boring. I could have said all these things. But again, I'm going to give you, and again, if these videos get enough likes, comments, views, if this video is shared enough all over social media, you'll get more in-depth Raw reviews like this. I'm throwing my name into the mix. I'm throwing my hat into the mix. I know there's already thousands of Raw reviews on here, but what a lot of you don't understand is I was doing this long before Raw reviews were popular. Okay, I was doing this long before Raw reviews was even a name, okay? And now everybody and their mother does Raw reviews, but nobody, quite frankly, does it with the kind of creativity, the kind of thinking, the kind of process, the kind of brain, the kind of knowledge, than the brash and the brazen, because I put my heart and my hustle into this. So then we bring us to the main event, okay? And yeah, I cover the highlights. I'm not going to cover every single little thing. It's something, if it stuck out to me, if it struck me, if I think it should have stayed or been different or changed, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to talk about it. So, CM Punk was a man, and he said, I'm sorry. CM Punk actually said, I'm sorry, but you knew it wasn't going to end there. Now, you have your world champion, okay, getting laid out by the Usos. That is how we end Monday Night Raw. You have your world champion on his back end, on his backside, laid out on the mat. That is how you end Monday Night Raw, with the Usos getting one over the world champion. CM Punk, your world champion, the man that's going to main event and headline WrestleMania, doesn't have a receipt, doesn't have a reaction to this. He doesn't get... listen, Raw ends a lot earlier. It ends like 30 minutes early. It's supposed to be a 3-hour Raw. We don't get that. So I can kind of see where the double is going on. The Usos attacking CM Punk after Punk's apology. So CM Punk really apologized for nothing, okay? This segment, it was all right. It was okay. But again, if I'm on the creative, if I'm running this thing, if I'm going about this, here's what I do. First of all, I don't have CM Punk on the mat looking up at the lights as the world champion going into WrestleMania in the main event of WrestleMania Night 2 on Sunday night. That I don't have happen at all. That just, to me, is horrible booking. Horrible booking, okay? Well, Sean, last week, Roman Reigns, he looked like, he was left with the deer in the headlights. CM Punk got the last word. Yeah, but he was still standing. CM Punk was on his butt. Now, if this was Roman Reigns, okay, but this is the Usos we're talking about. This is the Usos who, quite frankly, who knows if they're even going to be involved at WrestleMania. I mean, I'm sure they will be, but they're nowhere near important as CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion. And they just made CM Punk look like, well, a punk. They made him look over like a jobber, like a joke, like, is CM Punk going to fight back? Now, if I'm doing this after Raw goes off the air, okay, since we didn't obviously have enough time, I would have WWE.com keep the cameras rolling, and I would have CM Punk respond. I would have CM Punk retort to that. How can CM Punk just be laid out on the mat, okay, like that, and just have this look on his face? Like, oh, I'm shocked. Like, I just, the booking, now, again, if I'm booking that, I would have booked that completely different, in a completely different way, in a completely different manner. And the ending of that, it was fell flat. And it's like, it's over. And then you start seeing, Raw's going off the air, and then you see the little logo, and that's it. You want to talk about anticlimactic? I mean, again, we can be here all day long, and we can pick apart this and pick apart that, but you got to also understand, how would you have changed it? What would have been the circumstance? What would have been the difference? What would have been what would you have applied to make this better? And I'm telling you, if I'm WWE, if I'm Monday Night Raw, I'm having those cameras rolling, and then, because WWE's massively popular on social media, they could get 1 million views just off of what happened after Raw went off the air. And there is no way that CM Punk can just be left laying on the mat by a Jey Uso. It just it doesn't look good. You're world champion. I know I'm sounding like a broken record now, and I understand that, and I get it. But make CM Punk look like a bitch, if you know what I'm saying, because first he had to apologize, and we all know that CM Punk is not the apologizing kind. CM Punk says what he says because he believes in it. He believes what he's saying. He believes his own hype. CM Punk can be, a little bit braggadocious, you know what I'm saying? So for CM Punk to say, I'm sorry, I apologize, and then to get knocked down, and that's how we end it? That's how we go about it? I don't know. That's something about that, ladies and gentlemen. Something about that rubs me the wrong way. And again, I know I probably didn't talk about every single little thing that happened on Monday Night Raw tonight, but I'm talking about the things that stood out in my mind, the things that struck me, and the things that I would have changed, or the things that should have just stayed the way it was. Now, let me tell you something. What I'm not too happy about right now, and this ties into Monday Night Raw along with my Raw review. Again, more videos like this. Like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, and turn on all notifications. We'll do this every single week. And I know I might be, if this video gets 10 views, 30 views, 40 views, what have you, whatever it may be. This is your Raw results, okay? LA Knights, and we saw LA Knight on Raw tonight. We saw him help out the Usos. We saw that happen. We saw that go down. I will say this, before we get into the LA Knight situation, I will say this. I am glad, I am happy that the WWE at least followed it up. At least the WWE followed it up with what CM Punk said about Roman Reigns' father last week on Raw. At least they did a follow-up to that with the Usos getting mad and the Usos getting angry and the Usos wanting a response and a sorry. So at least they did a follow-up, because a lot of times there's not a follow-up. There's not a next chapter. The WWE just kind of does one thing, and then they let it just go off and act like it never happened. So at least the WWE followed it up there tonight, okay? And now we got to talk about Damian Priest. Now, wait a minute. This is just coming out right now. This is why we do multiple videos a day. Again, we know my bread and butter is the WWE news and rumors on here. Multiple videos a day, every single day for each and every one of you. Damian Priest reacts to the Judgment Day kicking out Finn Balor on Raw. Now, again, there's rumor and gossip and speculation that Damian Priest could be factored into this equation as well, making it a mega tag team match at WrestleMania. Again, that is the rumor and the gossip going out right now. Damian Priest knows what about the Judgment Day. Damian Priest knows what it's like to be in and out of the Judgment Day. He's no stranger to that as Damian Priest viewers, okay? But LA Knight and WrestleMania 42. Can you believe this, guys? I'm reading this report right now, and, since my bread and butter is WWE news and rumors, why not during the Raw review bring up some news and rumors? LA Knight's WrestleMania 42 status is actually, can you believe this one? It is actually in jeopardy after a WWE creative shuffling. You heard that right. According to the dirt sheets, the websites, and the newsletters, and I want you to understand, rumors are always anticipated to change, or they can stay the same, or they can go in a different direction, or they can pivot. That's what a lot of people don't understand. The trolls, the lost souls, hell, even some of my fans and subscribers, they might get on me and say, hey, Sean, that didn't happen. This didn't happen. All you got to do is go on ringsidenews.com, because I am about the receipts. I'm about the proof, the evidence. But it's not my fault if the WWE changed things. But I'm a little bit irate. I'm a little bit mad. I'm a little bit flustered. My feathers are a little bit ruffled. LA Knight's WrestleMania 42 status is in jeopardy due to creative reshuffling. So LA Knight may not even have a match at WrestleMania due to creative shuffling. You got to be kidding me. Ladies and gentlemen, again, it's been a long time since I've done these Raw reviews, but again, I did them when Raw reviews weren't even a thing. I did them when they weren't popular. But then once I started doing Raw reviews, everybody else started doing Raw reviews after me because I'm one of the ones that put Raw reviews on the map. Like I said, I did it when Raw reviews wasn't even a thing. I just did it because I'm like, well, I'm watching 2 hours of Raw. Then we got 3 hours of Raw. Then we got Smackdown. You know, viewers, if LA Knight is not a part of WrestleMania, that is a very, very sad state of affairs. Let me just make sure I am not missing anything else. Again, I just, Rusev, man, I'll tell you, what a... But then Rusev wasn't doing anything in AEW towards the end there. Rusev wasn't doing anything, so at least the WWE are utilizing Rusev. It's just I think he could have been made to look a little bit stronger in this one. And I'm not saying he didn't get no offense, okay? I know he got a couple of kicks, a couple of vodkas, and a couple of chops to the throat there, but it just... Listen, if this was Rusev circa 2020, Rusev circa 2015, it would have been more of a fight. That's all I'm asking for. It should have been more of a fight, okay? And again, as it concerns the Judgment Day breaking up tonight, we all saw it coming. We knew it was going to happen. And I got to say, again, if I'm booking this just over the next several weeks, glimpses, teases, whispers of the Demon coming back and doing what the Demon does. So, ladies and gentlemen, your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your review of Monday Night Raw. And if you want more reviews like this, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, and turn on all notifications. This is your official WWE Raw results, highlights, and key moments, and the booking from Sean's View Entertainment. And please rate this video. Give me a review of my review of Monday Night Raw. But again, it's not just a review. It's also how I would have booked it and how I would have planned it, how I would have changed it or kept it the same. And again, I got to go by a different kind of rating. Like I said, I go by the weather, you know, sunny, rainy, thunder, whatever it may be. But I got to come up with a concept for my rating and review. But overall, the review for Raw tonight, again, I'm going to go back and kind of try to plan and strategize how I'll give it a final review because I'm not just going to go back to the dull and boring 1 out of 10, A, B, C, D, F. I'm not going to do that. I guess to sum it up, it was worth a watch. I guess I could say it was worth a watch, and it was not a complete dud because, again, there was great matches. There was great athleticism. And we can't forget about Danhausen, right? Danhausen. I like the way they're utilizing him. I will say I like how they're keeping him backstage and they're not putting him in the ring. I like that the WWE are, playing this safe with Danhausen. He's already selling a lot of merchandise, and that's great for him. That's good for him. But at the end of the day, the WWE are using Danhausen correctly by putting these spells and this magic on the superstars. And so far, so good with Danhausen because I'll tell you what, it was an absolute disaster, his debut at the Elimination Chamber, as we all know. Now, this is a Sean View that didn't have a script. I didn't have something written on my hand. I just did this off the top of my head from what I remember, what I recall, and how I would have booked and what I would have planned Monday Night Raw tonight. Your thoughts, your comments, and your feelings on what we saw and what we got out of Raw tonight. What would you have changed? What would you have done if you're on the creative team? Or would you have kept everything the same? What was your moment, your match of the night? Were you glued to the screen? What does it mean to all of you? Subscribe.